Hi guys, my name is Vanessa and I don't know about you, but I really just like doing the dishes. Are you a I don't like doing the laundry or I don't like doing the dishes? Let me know in the comments, but for me, it is dishes. I really just am not a huge fan. So today I have 3 different dinner ideas, all using ground beef, and they are all one pot meal. So I'm able to cook my dinner in one pot, which eliminates a lot of extra dishes. So let's go ahead and get right into these super scrumptious dinner ideas. Beefy rice and broccoli, a one pot meal coming right up. First up, we're going to add a little oil to our pan, turn on that burner and start heating that up. Add in your ground beef. My package was a little over 1 pound. I'm going to break it up, and I love adding onion powder and garlic powder to pretty much any dish that I am cooking up any type of ground meat. I'm also adding in 1 chopped onion and 2 cloves of garlic. This dish is going to have a lot of flavor. So I'm just going to cook it and let the onions soften. So my meat is starting to brown, and I'm gonna add in a little more seasoning. I have this Creole seasoning, and I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit over the top. All right, so I didn't realize I wasn't recording, but my beef is completely cooked through. Onions are nice and soft. I have added in 2 cans of beef broth and 1 full can of Rotel, or you can use any kind of diced tomatoes. And I'm also adding in 1 and 2 cups of rice. And then if you have like 1 pound package of broccoli, that would work. I have a little less than half of a bag, a huge bag, a 2 pound bag of broccoli that I had in my freezer. So I'm just adding in the rest of that. And I am just going to stir this and put my stove on high and let this come to a boil. My beefy rice mixture has come to a boil, so I'm just gonna give it 1 more stir to mix everything together, and then I'm just going to even it out on the top. Make sure that liquid is kind of covering it all. Getting my lid on, reducing the heat to about a medium low, and I am not going to touch this. I'm not gonna open it and stir it, nothing, for 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes was perfect. The rice is done. If your rice is not done, add a little bit more liquid, put the top back on and cook maybe 5 minutes more and then test it out. But 20 minutes works perfect for me. And now I have a bag of cheese. I like this Mexican style cheese with this recipe because of the Rotel. I feel like anytime I'm using Rotel and like spicy seasonings, I like this Mexican like cheddar jack cheese. So I buy it already bagged up, but you can shred your own cheese, use whatever you want. And I am just going to, I'll probably use this whole bag. It's just a small bag, 8 ounces, and cover the top because 1, we love cheese, and 2, we love cheese. So I'm going to add all of this on here, and that way, once we really start mixing it up, every single bite has some cheese in it. I'm gonna get my lid back on. My heat is off. I'm just going to let the cheese melt a little bit before we serve it up. Okay, easy, all-in-one, 1 pot dinner ready to go. I did cut up a watermelon to go with dinner tonight, so we are gonna go ahead and sit down and eat, but this is a tried and true in my house. Adding my oil, getting my stovetop to medium high, 1 pound of ground beef. My packages are a little more than a pound. I buy them in bulk at Costco. Going in with, of course, some onion and garlic powder. Oh, that's a lot of garlic powder. This is really gonna be good. Just gonna break up my meat a little bit. So with my meat, I'm adding in 1 cup of diced carrots, 1 diced green bell pepper, 1 diced onion, 2 cloves of garlic also diced. And in the past, I've added 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, or a W sauce like I like to call it, but I don't have any. I don't know how I missed that. So to kind of make your own, there's a couple different combinations. I'm just gonna add some soy sauce and a little ketchup, and this ketchup is almost done. And I'm just gonna cook this, stirring constantly just to keep everything moving around, and my soy sauce and ketchup covering everything, about 5-6 minutes, or until my ground beef is cooked thoroughly. My beef is no longer pink. I'm adding in 1 and 2 cans of beef broth, as well as 5 small potatoes that I diced up. I'm going to push these potatoes down, that way the broth is completely covering them. Turning my heat down to a medium-low, and I'm going to let this simmer uncovered for 10 to 15 minutes, just until my potatoes are fork tender. Okay, I went ahead and let mine cook for 15 minutes. Make sure you're checking your potatoes. You don't want them to be like mashed potatoes. Unless you do, then go for it. Let them cook longer. I still want mine to be a little on the crunchy side. So let me show you if I can even get one. There we go. All right, so I'm going to turn my heat off, and I am adding in 4 ounces, so half of a block of cream cheese. And I have about 2 cups of shredded cheese total. I'm putting in like a really heavy handful right now. And while it is still super hot, I'm just going to mix the cream cheese in and the shredded cheese so it gets nice and melty and mixed in with everything. All right, so like I said, 2 cups of cheese total. I put in about 1.5 cups probably and mixed it in. That cream cheese, once everything gets mixed in, it makes it super creamy. But we always save a little extra cheese for the top. So this 1-pot dinner is super scrumptious, and it reminds me of a hamburger, like just with no pickles. But it's got the hamburger flavor with that soy sauce and ketchup. Definitely a hit in my house. Now we are moving on to some beef stroganoff, and this is definitely a tried and true in my family as well. You could add mushrooms to this dish, super easy. My kids just aren't huge fans. So again, I started out with heating some oil in my pot. I am using a Dutch oven, but you really could use any pot. It's just fine. I've got my 1 pound of beef, and of course, I am seasoning it with garlic and onion powder. Yes, I know, every time. If you haven't tried it, do it. It just adds a little extra flavor. So I've got my seasonings on there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and break up my beef and get that cooking. Once my ground beef is pretty done, I'm adding in 3 cloves of garlic, as well as 1 onion that I chopped up. Then I'm going to season with a little salt and pepper. Use as much or as little as you like. I'm gonna go ahead and mix all of this together. Also, just to add a little bit more to the bottom of my pan, I felt like it was still sticking a little too much. I had already turned down my heat, so I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter, and this really does add a nice little flavor to it. So I'm going to continue, get that butter melted and mixed all in there, and just continue cooking while scraping the bottom. I want all those tasty little bits off of there until my onions are nice and soft. Now I'm adding in 3 tablespoons of flour, and it probably ended up being about a teaspoon of paprika. I just kind of sprinkled it over the top, and this is going to help make the sauce and give it a nice creamy texture. Once I've got that all sprinkled on top, I'm going to mix it in and cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes just to take that like flour taste out of it. I'm adding in 1/4 cup of white wine. And every time I add something new, I'm gonna go ahead and scrape that bottom just to get, again, that extra flavor up off of it. All right, now I had to change my recipe up a little bit because I miscounted at the beginning of the month when I bought my shelf stable ingredients. So typically I add 2 cans of beef broth, but I only had 1, but I have plenty of chicken broth. It did change the flavor for us a little bit. I definitely liked it better when I've made this before with the beef broth, but you can easily use what's on hand and it's still going to turn out good enough for your family to eat. So I've got 2 cans in there, and then I'm going in with a whole bag of egg noodles. I think this was a 12-ounce package. And then I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I don't think that's enough liquid. I'm pretty sure the last couple times I've made this, it was about half of the bag or maybe 8 ounces. But this time I was like, you know what? I don't want to have any extra little noodle packages left in my pantry. So I put the whole bag in there. And because I did that, I did go ahead and add in a cup of water, and it worked out perfectly. So if you don't want to have any extra little bags of noodles, go ahead and dump the whole thing in there. It does make a lot. So if you guys have a family of 6 or 8, this is perfect. You'll have plenty of leftovers. If you have a family of 6 or even 4 and you don't want leftovers, I would probably cut this in half. So I've got everything mixed together. I'm getting my lid on, and I'm going to turn my heat down to medium-low and let it simmer for 10 minutes. I did open it up and give it a stir at the 4-minute mark and the 8-minute mark just to make sure that it was not sticking to the bottom. Once it's done, I get that lid off. I turn the heat off. I don't need it on anymore. I give everything a good stir just to make sure, again, that nothing is sticking on the bottom. My noodles are nice and done. And I am going to add in about 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. And this really makes it nice and creamy. So once I've got that in there, I'm just going to mix it up and get it all evenly distributed throughout all of the noodles and the beef. So for this dinner, I did make a couple sides to go with it. I did top it with a little fresh parsley, and I had a box of breadsticks in my freezer, went ahead and heated those up. This was the end of a week, and I wanted to use up what we had. So we had a few tomatoes and a couple avocados that we just cut up and seasoned with a little salt, pepper, and olive oil. And this is what we had for dinner. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed those. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you are new, subscribe. I would love for you guys to join me here. If you guys are on Instagram, tag me over there with your finished dinner. I do have some more easy dinner ideas up here for you guys. But other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye.